On January 20, 1997, Colonel Tom Parker, the former manager of Elvis Presley, lay on his deathbed after suffering a stroke. Struggling with a lifelong gambling addiction that left him penniless, he began recalling how he first met the future king of rock and roll. Parker had discovered Elvis when he was an unknown singer, and under his management, Elvis quickly rose to stardom. However, Parker's management was far from fair. By 1973, it was revealed that Parker had been taking 50% of Elvis's earnings and worked him relentlessly to support his own gambling habit. Parker's greed and control over Elvis led to speculation that he was responsible for the star's declining health and eventual death in 1977. Many believed Parker's exploitation contributed to Elvis's tragic downfall. As Parker lay dying, he was haunted by the consequences of his actions, knowing his greed had not only ruined his own life but also harmed Elvis, the man who had trusted him. Elvis Presley grew up in poverty in Mississippi, raised mainly by his loving mother, Gladys. After his father was jailed for check fraud, they moved to a poor neighborhood, where Elvis found comfort in comic books, especially Captain Marvel Jr., and in music. Later, when the family moved to Memphis, Elvis became fascinated with African American music on Beale Street, but his peers mocked him for it. At this time, Colonel Tom Parker was a carnival promoter who saw himself as a modern P.T. Barnum. He was managing country singer Hank Snow when he first heard Elvis's groundbreaking single, "That's All Right," where Elvis, a white artist, sounded like he was singing African American music. Intrigued, Parker went to see Elvis perform at a Louisiana hayride show. There, he witnessed Elvis's electrifying stage presence, including his signature leg shakes, which drove the female audience wild. Elvis continued to hang around the African American community, adopting their music and fashion styles. He was under contract with Sam Phillips of Sun Records, who wanted to promote black music but hadn't found much success. However, Parker saw Elvis's potential and took him on tour with Hank Snow. Soon, Elvis became the star of the show. As Elvis's fame grew, so did the attention from women. They threw themselves at him, and he began having flings in his hotel rooms. He also started taking drugs to cope with the intense schedule of performances. At a Ferris wheel, Colonel Tom Parker convinces Elvis Presley to let him take complete control of his career. Parker explains that he would have to stop working with Hank Snow and focus only on Elvis, which would also mean taking a bigger share of the earnings. Parker tells Elvis they need a record label with national distribution and advises him to convince Sun Records to sell his contract to RCA. He also suggests that rock stars need to appear available, meaning Elvis should break up with his girlfriend. Soon, Elvis's father, Vernon, becomes his business manager, and the entire family signs a binding contract with Parker. This marks the beginning of Elvis's meteoric rise to fame, lifting his family out of poverty. Parker secures a 7-movie deal and several merchandise deals for Elvis. However, public opinion is divided. Some feel his music will corrupt white youth and stir racial tensions. Senator James Eastland, a segregationist from Mississippi, calls Parker to an informal hearing, questioning him about his mysterious past. Elvis agrees to perform a family-friendly show without his signature moves, but it turns out to be a disaster. He faces heavy criticism for it and is furious with Parker for forcing him to change. Elvis's mother, Gladys, also blames Parker for their troubles. B.B. King, who runs an African American club downtown, becomes Elvis's mentor. He advises Elvis to start his own label and reassures him that, as a famous white star, he won't go to jail for his dance moves. He suggests there might be another reason behind Parker's decisions that Elvis isn't aware of. After Elvis Presley's energetic dance moves at a concert sparked potential legal trouble, Colonel Tom Parker steps in and convinces the government to draft Presley into the U.S. Army to avoid any legal issues. Presley serves in West Germany from 1958 for 2 years. During his time there, he is heartbroken by the death of his mother, Gladys, whose alcoholism led to her passing. In his grief, Parker takes on a more fatherly role, helping Presley through his depression. While in Germany, Presley meets Priscilla Beaulieu, the adopted teenage daughter of a U.S. Air Force pilot. She becomes a source of comfort for him. After completing his military service, Presley returns to his movie career. Years later, in 1966, he marries Priscilla, with their honeymoon aboard Frank Sinatra's jet. Parker also arranges movie roles for Priscilla and jobs for Elvis's entourage, known as the Memphis Mafia. Not long after, their daughter, Lisa Marie Presley, is born. As the 1960s progress, Elvis Presley starts to feel left behind by popular culture, with bands like the Beatles on the rise. The assassinations of Martin Luther King Jr. and Robert F. Kennedy deeply affect him, and he expresses a desire to address political issues in his music. However, Colonel Tom Parker only allows him to release lighthearted, feel-good songs for a Christmas TV special. Despite this, Elvis meets Steve Binder, a producer known for working with the Rolling Stones, who encourages him to make bold performance choices. For the special, Presley performs not only his classic hits but also closes with "If I Can Dream," which is seen as a strong political statement. This angers corporate sponsors, who threaten legal action, and Parker accuses Presley of being brainwashed by hippies. Despite Parker's frustration, the show is a huge success. As Binder's influence grows, he books Presley on lucrative overseas tours, offering $1 million per night, revealing that Parker had previously turned down similar offers for unknown reasons. Later, it's uncovered that Parker is drowning in gambling debts and hiding a deep secret. He isn't actually Colonel Tom Parker. His real name is Andreas van Kuijk, an illegal immigrant from the Netherlands, which explains why he had always avoided international deals. Colonel Tom Parker becomes furious as Steve Binder's influence over Elvis Presley grows, making Elvis realize he might not need Parker anymore. After the success of the Christmas special, Presley headlines at the International Hotel in Las Vegas and resumes concert tours. Parker, however, tightens his control over Elvis. Despite earlier promises, Parker refuses Elvis's request for a world tour. To manipulate Elvis, Parker fabricates death threats and even stages fake attacks on Elvis during his performances at the International Hotel to make the threats seem real. Eventually, Parker convinces Elvis to sign a contract for a 5-year residency at the International Hotel, paying $1 million per year. In return, the hotel agrees to cancel Parker's gambling debts, ensuring Parker remains in control of Elvis's career. Colonel Tom Parker pushes Elvis Presley to focus on U.S. tours, booking 15 cities in 15 days, which they do throughout 1969, 1970, 1971, and 1972. However, during these years, Elvis's drug addiction and erratic behavior worsen. His wife, Priscilla, becomes disillusioned and divorces him on January 8, 1973, taking their daughter, Lisa Marie, with her. Later, Elvis discovers that Parker is unable to leave the country because he is a stateless illegal immigrant named Andreas Dries van Kuijk. Feeling betrayed, Elvis fires Parker on September 3, 1973. The two argue over the $8 million debt that Elvis owes Parker and the record label, which has been driven up by his extravagant spending. This causes tension between Elvis and his father. Despite their fallout, Parker convinces Elvis that they are dependent on each other, and although they rarely see each other afterward, Parker continues to manage Elvis's career from a distance. Elvis Presley continues a grueling schedule of performances, which leaves him increasingly exhausted. By 1974, his health is deteriorating, and before his death on August 16, 1977, he confides in Priscilla that his biggest fear is being forgotten. At one of his final shows on June 21, 1977, in Rapid City, South Dakota, Elvis, now bloated and pale, performs Unchained Melody to thunderous applause. After finishing his recollection, Colonel Tom Parker dies on January 21, 1997, impoverished and alone.